If you've ever watched a YouTube woodworking video, then you've probably heard the term pocket holes. But what are they, how do they work, and what can you use them for? What's up, woodworkers? Ben here, and in this video I'm going to explain to you everything you need to know about pocket hole joinery as quick as possible with no BS. And by the end of this video you'll understand how pocket holes work, what they can be used on, and what equipment you need. This is a pocket hole join. Neat, right? A lot of old school woodworkers will tell you it's ugly, but I actually think they look quite professional. I'd much rather see something like this than a screw just rammed into the end of a piece of wood. There are three main elements to a pocket hole. Firstly, the wider bore hole, which allows for the widest part of your screw, which is the head. Secondly, the shoulder, which allows the flat head of the screw to pull on the shoulder and pull the two pieces of wood together. Without this, or with the wrong screws, your screw would just keep screwing through into the wood and eventually end up poking out the other side. The third part is the smaller pilot hole that gets things started when you drill your pocket hole. This allows the threaded part of the screw to get started and ensures it's in the correct position. So now that you understand what a pocket hole is, let's talk about how you create these little pockets. Then we can move on to a bit more detail around how and when to use them, and finish with my top tips to elevate your pocket hole game. There are three things that you absolutely must have to create a pocket hole: a drill, a specialist stepped drill bit with a collar, you usually get these with your jig, and of course a pocket hole jig itself. This is the 320 and this is the 720, both from Craig. I'm not sponsored by Craig or anything, but they're widely recognised as the leaders in pocket hole jigs. But there are a ton of different ones out there on the market, so make sure you do your own research before buying one. I'll link to a few options in the description for you though. I started out with this cheap 320 one. I still use it on occasions when I need more flexibility, but I upgraded to the 720 for the majority of my pocket hole needs, and I love it. I've actually done review videos on both of these jigs, so I'll link to them in the description as well at the end of this video. Essentially, if you put these three things together, then you can create pocket holes. You usually need to check the material you're drilling into and the piece that you're connecting it to in case there are any differences, as this will indicate how deep to drill and the length of screws you need. You then just set your drill bit collar and jig according to the instructions and the material that you're using, and then you clamp it to the workpiece. Here's a really useful tip. I've got a terrible memory, so I use the screw selector tool on the Craig Tools website to make sure I use the correct screws. It takes all the guesswork out of it. This brings me into today's fake sponsor, and that's screws in a bag. Screws in a bag make it easy to prick your fingers every time you pick them up. Thanks Screws in a Bag for sponsoring this video. Once you've set up your jig and clamped your workpiece in, you can start drilling. Oh, you hear that? That sounds just like clicking the like button. It's important to have your drill on the fastest setting and to have it in drill mode and get it up to full speed before you hit the wood, as this will help create the neatest holes. There are recommended distances to drill your pocket holes from both the edge of your timber but also between each pocket hole. I'll be honest though, I tend to go with what looks about right, and you'll find that on narrower boards you'll want your pocket holes closer together, but on the wider ones you can spread them out a little bit more. A good pocket hole jig will allow you to adjust this by either adding or removing a section like this, or by simply choosing which hole you drill through like this. Now you've drilled your pocket holes, you're ready to join the pieces together. In order to do this, you'll need specific pocket hole screws. Pocket hole screws have a few key differences that make them different to normal screws. I highly recommend using proper pocket hole screws, as they make for a much better connection and minimise the risk of blowing through your workpiece and ruining it. In general, pocket hole screws feature this flat washer head, which creates a good surface area to connect to the shoulder of the pocket hole. If you're screwing into thinner pieces such as 12mm wood, then you can opt for the pan head screws, which operate in much the same way. It still snugs up to the pocket hole shoulder with this flat section, but it doesn't protrude as wide, meaning that you won't have the edge of the screw head poking out of the pocket hole. The other features on pocket screws are this smooth section towards the head, which means that the thread of the screw is all in the joining piece, which does a really good job of tightening up the gap. Then you've got the thread itself. This one is a coarse thread, which is great for softwood like pine and also works for plywood and other sheet goods. However, if you're joining hardwood, then you'll need a fine thread screw, as the coarse ones are likely to split the wood. Whichever thread you use though, you'll see that there's a small section missing at the end. This is designed to help the screw bite down quicker and essentially acts like a mini drill to help stop the wood from splitting. Now you're probably asking, why can't I just use cheaper screws from the hardware store or even Amazon? Well, in general, the heads of those screws are countersunk, which means that they have this bevel on them that is specifically designed to bury the screw into the wood. This means that it won't form as tight a joint as your washer head ones. Yes, you could probably find some washers and then add them, but if you're buying washers and screws and then having to faff around with adding the washer to the screw each time, you're just better off buying proper pocket hole screws. I've used ones from both Craig and Trend, and they both work great. The only other thing that the eagle-eye viewer may have spotted is that these screws aren't your usual Phillips head screws. They use a square drive bit called a Robertson. They're supposed to give a better connection on the screw, but I'm on the fence about them a bit, as I still prefer Torx head or star bits. But pocket hole screws don't come with these, so square drive it is. Speaking of screwing the pocket hole together, there are a few key tips that I want to share with you that will make your pocket holes easier and more consistent. Firstly, wherever possible, you're going to want to clamp the two pieces down as tight as possible. This is because when the screw bites into the joining piece, it's going to want to move around. So the tighter it's clamped, the better your joint will be. I'm using this Craig face clamp. You can do this with pretty much any clamp that has a decent enough surface area to cover both pieces. Secondly, you're much better off using a drill than an impact driver for this, as it's quite easy to overdrive these screws if you're not careful, and they will have a loose joint, as the screw will have created a smooth hole rather than gripping the screw thread. Luckily, this is very easy to avoid. Using your drill, simply set it to driver mode and adjust the clutch to the lowest setting, and you avoid over tightening the screws. You'll notice that I'm using an extra long driver bit as well. These usually come with your pocket hole jig and are readily available to buy online. This is because the angle that we're driving the screw in dictates that you need a longer bit to be able to get your drill in there. This can occasionally cause problems on smaller projects though, so you'll want to bear this in mind when you design any projects, and worst case, you have a couple of different options that I've included in my top tips at the end of the video. Okay, so now you know what a pocket hole is, what equipment you need, and how to drill one. But when should you use pocket holes, and when shouldn't you use pocket holes? Pocket holes were originally designed for cabinetry, as they make them easy to assemble and you don't see the holes due to having countertops and stuff covering them up. But since then, pocket holes have been a great way for beginner woodworkers to make projects that seemed out of reach to them before. And let me tell you, I've built side tables, coffee tables, dining tables, planters, cabinets, and all sorts of things using pocket holes, and they're the fastest and easiest way to do it. And I'm yet to see a single joint fail on me. In fact, I've even got a link to a free plan for you to build your own side table using pocket holes, so I'll link to that in the description for you. It's really important though to always make sure that your screws are given the best opportunity to make the strongest joint. That means you should always think about the directions that your screw is going, and you always want the screw to be pointing in the longer part of the wood rather than towards the edge of the wood. That'll make for a much weaker joint which can split and break very easily. So the short answer is that you can use pocket hole joinery to build whatever you want, and don't worry what traditional woodworkers say. If it's what you want to do and you enjoy it, then I say go for it. That being said though, I do have a few key tips for you, but before I tell you those, I just wanted to ask you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're up for learning more about tools, tips and general workshop stuff. It doesn't take much effort for you, but means an awful lot to me, so thank you if you do. 1. Test piece. Always do a test piece first. I've gotten into the practice of cutting a couple of small pieces of the wood I'm working with and testing my settings prior to drilling any holes in my actual project. That way, you don't get any nasty surprises. 2. Adjust the drill bit. Don't forget to adjust the collar on your drill bit. This is the one that often catches people out. Comment below if you've ever done this. 3. Location, location, location. Position your pocket holes in places where they'll be less visible. For example, if you're using them to secure shelves in a cabinet, drill them on the underside of the shelf rather than the top. The same goes for the outsides. If you won't be able to see the outside, then drill them on the outside. If, for example, you're doing the side table project with my free plans, then drill them underneath your stretchers on the bottom and then on the inside of the top stretchers. This way no one will even know how you've joined it, unless they pick it up and look underneath. And who wants to be friends with them anyway? 4. Screw direction. Just make sure you remember to always position them so that they screw into the longer direction rather than the shorter one. 5. Hide your work. If you do have some on show, then there's always a few ways to cover them up. If you're painting the project, then feel free to use a filler. Just make sure you build it up as per the manufacturer's instructions to avoid it staying squishy and not hardening up. You can also glue dowels into the joints and flush cut them and sand them smooth. Or if you're feeling really fancy, you can buy these specific pocket hole plug cutters like I've got for my Craig 720, which cuts a perfect plug so that you can plug your pocket hole nicely. If you haven't got a plug cutter, you can even buy them pre-made. A choice is yours whether you want to hide them with the same wood or use a different coloured wood and get a bit creative. 6. Use glue. Unless you're planning to take your project apart at any point, I would always recommend using wood glue on your joints. A standard PVA wood glue will be fine for this. 7. Clamp it. Be sure to clamp the joint tight before driving your screws. 8. Set the clutch. Don't use the impact driver. Set your drill to driver mode and adjust the clutch for screwing in your screws. Now, I mentioned a couple of options for getting into those hard to reach spaces with your drill. Well, I've got a couple of different methods that I like to use. The first is the easiest. Simply use a shorter driver bit. I always keep one on hand, and in general this works absolutely fine. If the space is still tight, then use a shorter bit in conjunction with the right-angled drill attachment like this. It's a bit fiddly, and you'll need to make sure you're putting pressure on the end, but it also works well. I built a simple end table using pocket holes and a very basic set of 5 tools, and I made a set of free plans for it as well. I'll leave a link to the free plans in the description, and you can click this video right here to see how I built mine. If you want to find out more about either the Craig 320 or the Craig 720, then you can click one of these videos right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.